The female Titan had Eren in her grasp. She sprinted through the forest, desperate to escape. Her pursuers were relentless. Captain Levi and Mikasa Ackerman were in hot pursuit. Their mission was clear rescue Eren at any cost. The forest floor blurred beneath them as they weaved through the towering trees. The air crackled with tension. Levi's eyes were cold and calculating. He knew they couldn't overpower the female Titan in a direct confrontation. He needed a plan, a way to exploit her weaknesses. Mikasa, fueled by a desperate hope, was a whirlwind of rage. Her blades sliced through the air, yearning for the Titan's flesh. Yet Levi's calm commands kept her focused. This was a strategic hunt, not a blind rampage. The chase was a deadly dance. Each swing of the female Titan's arm, each thunderous footstep, threatened to shake them off. But Levi and Mikasa were like shadows, clinging to their target. They moved with incredible speed and agility, their 3D maneuver gear a blur as they navigated the treacherous terrain. Every second counted. Eren was their comrade, their hope. They would not fail him. The chase continued, a deadly ballet of desperation and determination beneath the forest canopy. Levi's plan unfolded with surgical precision. He directed the chase, herding the female Titan into a narrow ravine. The terrain, now working in their favor, limited her movements. The trap was set. Levi barked orders to Mikasa. Distract, distract, distract. Every attack a calculated move to draw the female Titan's attention. Mikasa was a blur of fury, her attacks relentless. Each strike chipped away at the Titan's defenses, forcing her to focus on the immediate threat. Then, Levi struck. Exploding from his hidden position, he was a whirlwind of blades. His attacks were swift, a blur of motion too fast for the female Titan to track. He targeted her nape, the weak point in her defenses, each strike aimed with deadly accuracy. The female Titan roared in pain and frustration. She was bleeding, her movements slowing, but she was not defeated. She fought back with the ferocity of a cornered animal. Still clutching Eren, she lashed out blindly, desperate to crush the insects that dared to challenge her. Levi, however, was unfazed. He danced around her attacks, his movements fluid and precise. He was a master swordsman, his every strike a testament to years of training and experience. The female Titan faltered. Levi's relentless assault had taken its toll. She stumbled, her grip on Eren loosening. In that moment of weakness, Mikasa saw her chance. She swooped in, a crimson blur of vengeance. Her blades found their mark, severing the Titan's fingers, one by one. Eren tumbled free, falling into Mikasa's waiting arms. Relief washed over them, but it was short-lived. They were still in danger. The female Titan, though wounded, was still a formidable opponent. Levi, ever the strategist, knew they couldn't afford to be drawn into a prolonged battle. He ordered a retreat, his voice sharp and commanding. They melted back into the forest, leaving the wounded Titan behind. Their flight was as precise and coordinated as their attack. They moved as one, their trust in each other absolute. The forest welcomed them back into its shadowy embrace, offering a moment of respite from the horrors they had faced. But the victory felt hollow. They had rescued Eren, but at a terrible cost. The weight of their losses pressed down on them, a heavy cloak of grief and exhaustion. Section 4. The Weight of Loss. A Grim Return. The forest floor was littered with bodies. Fallen comrades, their faces frozen in eternal screams, served as a stark reminder of the battle's brutal toll. The surviving members of the Scout Regiment regrouped, their faces etched with grief and exhaustion. The mission had been a disaster. The weight of their losses hung heavy in the air. Every fallen soldier represented a life cut short, a dream left unfulfilled. The silence was broken only by choked sobs and the clatter of equipment. Captain Levi, his usual stoicism unshaken, surveyed the carnage with a heavy heart. He carried the weight of command, the responsibility for every life lost. Yet he allowed himself no outward display of emotion. There was no time for grief, not while the survivors still needed him. The retreat back to the wall was a somber affair. The soldiers rode in silence, their thoughts a maelstrom of grief, anger, and despair. The horrors they had witnessed would forever be seared into their memories. The mission had taken its toll, leaving them physically and emotionally drained. Section 5. Scars of Battle, Reflections, Amidst Grief. The horrors of the mission weighed heavily on the survivors. Each bore the scars of battle, both physical and emotional. Jean grappled with his own mortality. The horrors he'd witnessed shattered his illusions of safety. Armin replayed the events, searching for any decision that could have changed the outcome. He blamed himself for not being strong enough. His mind was clouded with self-doubt and grief. Connie mourned the loss of his fellow recruits. He thought of his family, of the village he might never see again. The reality of their situation had finally hit home. This wasn't a training exercise, it was a fight for survival. Sasha, usually a source of lightheartedness, was uncharacteristically quiet. The horrors she had witnessed had shaken her to her core. The image of fallen comrades haunted her thoughts. The experience had chipped away at her spirit. Section 6. A Hero's Sacrifice, Deiter's Last Stand. The retreat was not without its dangers. The female Titan, driven by a primal need to recover Eren, was still in pursuit. They were pursued relentlessly. Deiter, a seasoned scout, volunteered to stay behind. His mission: delay the Titan, buy his comrades time to escape. It was a suicide mission, and he knew it. But Deiter, a man forged in the fires of countless battles, faced his fate with unwavering courage. He charged into battle, his heart filled with a soldier's resolve. His attack was a desperate gamble, a last act of defiance against an unstoppable force. He fought with the fury of a man possessed, his blade singing a mournful song of death and sacrifice. But the female Titan was too powerful. She swatted him aside like an insect, his body crushed beneath her immense foot. His sacrifice, however, was not in vain. Deiter's courageous stand bought his comrades precious time. They watched in horror as the Titan caught him, a collective gasp of despair escaping their lips. His sacrifice had bought them time, a chance to escape the clutches of death. They owed him their lives, a debt they could never truly repay. Section 7. Walls of Stone, Walls of Emotion, A Bittersweet Homecoming. The survivors returned to the walls, their banners tattered, their spirits broken. They were greeted with a mixture of relief and resentment. The citizens, safe behind their walls, could not comprehend the horrors they had faced. Some cheered, hailing them as heroes. Others jeered, blaming them for the losses suffered. Eren, his eyes reflecting the horrors he'd witnessed, could only clench his fists in frustration. The weight of their expectations threatened to crush him. As Eren rode through the streets, a flashback to his childhood flickered through his mind. He remembered his father's promise to show him what lay beyond the basement walls. That memory fueled his resolve. He would not be broken. He would find a way to defeat the Titans and free humanity from fear. The scouts returned to their headquarters, the weight of their losses pressing down on them. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. They had stared into the abyss and emerged forever changed. They had lost comrades, friends, brothers in arms, but they had also found strength in each other, a bond forged in adversity. As they prepared for the battles to come, they would never forget those who had fallen. Their sacrifice would fuel their determination, a reminder of the fight for humanity's survival.